The eternal dance of light and shadow, Hades and Persephone, from the whispered corridors of eternity, where time flows like liquid starlight and memories crystallize into living truth, I speak to you. I am the chronicler of forgotten truths, keeper of the stories that shaped your world before mortals learned to weave words. Through countless eons, I have witnessed the dance of gods and mortals, the rise and fall of empires, the birth and death of legends. Today, I unveil to you one of the most profound mysteries ever to unfold in the realm of the divine, a tale of love that bloomed in the deepest darkness, of a heart that learned to beat in harmony with death itself. Listen closely, children of the surface world, for this is not merely a story of abduction and sorrow as your poets have told. This is the sacred chronicle of transformation, of two souls finding completeness in the most unlikely of unions. Let me guide you through the veils of time to witness the truth that lies beneath the myth, the realm above and below. In the days when the world was young and the boundaries between realms were gossamer thin, there existed a balance so delicate that even the gods walked carefully upon its edge. Above, in the golden meadows of the mortal world, Demeter ruled with hands that painted the earth in emerald and gold. Her power flowed through every seed, every blade of grass, every flower that dared to lift its face toward the sun. She was abundance incarnate, the mother whose love fed nations. But below, in the vast and silent kingdom that mortals fear to name, dwelt her brother Hades, lord of shadows, guardian of the dead, keeper of secrets that would drive the living mad. His realm was not the burning pit of later tales, but something far more profound, a place of profound stillness where souls came to rest after their earthly dance, where memories settled like snow upon the branches of the eternal trees. Hades himself was not the monster that terrified children's dreams would paint him. Tall and magnificent, with eyes that held the depth of forgotten stars and hair dark as the space between constellations, he carried within him the weight of infinite solitude. For who could love one whose touch meant death? Who could find joy in the company of one who ruled over endings? For millennia uncounted, he had walked alone through his crystalline palaces, through gardens where asphodel bloomed in perpetual twilight, through halls where the echoes of his footsteps were the only sound. The dead who came to his realm found peace, yes, but they could not offer him companionship. They were shadows of their former selves, memories wrapped in mist. And so the Lord of the Underworld knew loneliness as intimately as he knew the names of every soul in his care. The daughter of spring far above, where sunshine painted the world in colors that changed with each season, lived Persephone, though this was not yet her name, for names, like destinies, must be earned. She was known then as Kor, the maiden daughter of Demeter, and she was everything her mother's heart desired, innocent, joyful, radiant with the pure light of youth untested by sorrow. Picture her, if you will, as she was in those days before fate claimed her. Hair like spun sunlight cascaded over shoulders that had never known burden. Her laughter was the sound of spring rain on new leaves. Her footsteps left flowers blooming in their wake. She danced through meadows with her companions, nymphs and minor goddesses who delighted in her presence, never knowing that far below, in the realm of shadows, someone watched her with growing wonder. For Hades had begun to emerge from his underground kingdom, drawn by something he could not name. The earth above called to him in a way it never had before. Through cracks in stone and hidden caverns, he would rise to walk the surface world in the deep of night, when Helios had taken his chariot beyond the western horizon and only starlight illuminated the sleeping earth. It was on one such night that he first saw her. She had strayed from her companions to follow a stream that sang with particularly sweet music. The moon was full, casting everything in silver and shadow, and there she knelt by the water's edge, her reflection shimmering like captured starlight. She was weaving flowers into crowns, not for vanity, but from pure joy in creation, the same impulse that drove her mother to paint the world in growing things. Hades stood transfixed in the shadow of an ancient oak, his heart, which he had thought incapable of such feelings, thundering like waves against a distant shore. He had seen beauty before, of course. The shades of great queens had passed through his realm, and he was brother to Poseidon and Zeus, beings of magnificent power. But this was different. This was life in its most perfect expression, innocence and joy and creative force, all wrapped in a form so lovely that it made his eternal night seem suddenly unbearable. He did not approach her. How could he? His very presence would wither the flowers she wove. His touch would turn her joyous laughter to screams of terror. Instead, he retreated to his realm, but the image of her burned in his mind like a star refusing to be extinguished. The growing obsession night after night, Hades returned to watch her. He learned her patterns, her favorite places, the way she hummed wordless melodies while she walked. He witnessed her kindness to every living thing, how she would cup injured butterflies in her hands until their wings healed, how she would whisper encouragement to struggling seedlings, how she would weep with genuine sorrow when autumn began to claim the summer flowers. And slowly, terrifyingly, he began to understand what was happening to him. The Lord of the Dead, who had never known desire for anything beyond the perfect order of his realm, was falling in love. But oh, the torment of it, for love should bring joy, should it not? Instead, it brought him only deeper isolation. What hope could there be for one such as him? She was spring itself, the embodiment of life and growth and all things that flourished under open sky. He was winter's heart, the final rest, the ending that came to all stories. Oil and water could not mix, fire and ice could not embrace without destroying one another. Yet love, once kindled, is not easily extinguished. Like the eternal flames that burned in his palace, it consumed him quietly but completely. He found himself neglecting his duties, letting important matters slide while he dreamed of sunlight, hair, and laughter like music. His servants, the Furies, the judges of the dead, even faithful Charon, began to worry about their typically meticulous master. It was Thanatos, Death himself, who finally confronted him. The pale, gentle god found Hades standing in his garden of remembrance, staring at nothing with eyes full of a pain that had no name. "My lord," Thanatos said softly, his voice like wind through autumn leaves, "what troubles you? Your realm has never known such distraction." And Hades, who had always prided himself on his control, broke down and confessed everything. He spoke of golden hair and innocent laughter, of beauty that made his immortal heart race like a mortal's, of love that felt like both blessing and curse. Thanatos listened without judgment, for he had seen love in all its forms, the love that made mortals fight death itself for one more moment with their beloved, the love that kept souls lingering at the borders of his realm, unwilling to let go of life. "Then why do you not speak to her?" Thanatos asked gently. "Even gods must sometimes take risks in the name of love." But Hades only laughed, a sound bitter as winter wind. "Look at me, old friend. I am death walking. My touch brings ending. My realm is shadow and silence. What could I possibly offer to one who embodies everything I am not?" The desperate plan. It was then that Hades made a choice that would echo through eternity, one that would brand him in mortal minds as a villain, but which came from a heart breaking with loneliness and impossible love. If he could not win her through courtship, if his very nature made him repulsive to everything she represented, then perhaps he could create a situation where she might come to understand him, to see beyond the terrifying reputation to the being beneath. He did not plan to keep her forever, you must understand. In his mind, it was to be temporary, a chance for them to meet on neutral ground, where she might learn to see him as more than the monster of legends. He told himself he would return her to the surface once she understood, once she had perhaps grown to care for him even a little. But the heart, once committed to a course of desperate action, has ways of rationalizing even the most questionable choices. Hades began to prepare. He consulted with the fates themselves, those ancient sisters who weave the threads of destiny, and from them he learned a secret that would change everything. Persephone's true nature had not yet been revealed, even to herself. She was not merely Demeter's daughter, not simply a maiden of spring. She carried within her bloodline the potential to be something far greater, far more complex. She is destined for transformation, the eldest fate told him, her voice like the whisper of ages. The question is not whether change will come, but what form it will take. You could be the catalyst or the destroyer. Choose wisely, Lord of Shadows. Armed with this knowledge and burning with desperate hope, Hades set his plan in motion. He knew Persephone's favorite meadow, knew she often wandered there alone when the narcissus flowers were blooming. These flowers, with their intoxicating scent and hypnotic beauty, were sacred to the Underworld, a connection between the world of the living and the realm of the dead. On the chosen day, Hades caused a special narcissus to bloom, one more beautiful than any that had ever graced the earth. Its petals seemed to hold captured starlight. Its fragrance carried hints of mysteries beyond mortal understanding. It was irresistible, impossible to ignore, a flower that called to something deep in Persephone's divine nature. The eternal dance. And so was born the compromise that governs the world still. 6 months of the year, Persephone would remain in the underworld as its queen, bringing light to the darkness and comfort to the dead. During these months, the world above would know winter, but it would be a winter of rest and preparation, not of death and despair. For the remaining 6 months, she would return to the surface to reign beside her mother, bringing spring and summer with her return. But she would no longer be the innocent maiden who had picked flowers in ignorant bliss. She was changed, deepened, made whole by her journey into darkness. Hades, too, was transformed. No longer was he the lonely Lord of Shadows, feared and shunned by all. He was half of a perfect whole, ruler of a realm that had gained beauty and warmth through love. During Persephone's time in the upper world, he would tend their kingdom carefully, preparing for her return like a gardener preparing soil for precious seeds. The truth of love, and what of love, you ask? Did it survive this strange courtship, this beginning founded on desperate action and impossible circumstances? Oh, children of the surface world, love did more than survive. It flourished beyond all imagining. For theirs was not the simple love of mortal hearts, based on convenience or compatibility. It was the love of completion, of two beings who had found in each other the missing pieces of their own souls. When Persephone ruled in the underworld, she brought to that realm a warmth and beauty it had never known. The dead found greater peace under her care. The living found their fear of death diminished by the knowledge that such a gentle queen waited to welcome them home. And Hades discovered that love had not made him weak, but infinitely stronger, had not diminished his power, but refined it into something more precious than mere authority. When she returned to the upper world, she carried with her wisdom that only comes from understanding both sides of existence. Her springs were more precious for having been waited for, her summers more joyful for being temporary, her autumn departures tragic but necessary as the world prepared for winter's rest. Would the eternal teaching, and so I have told you the true tale of Hades and Persephone, not as your poets have painted it, a story of abduction and sorrow, but as it truly was, a story of transformation, of love that bloomed in unlikely soil, of two beings who found completion in their differences rather than in their similarities. Let this be a lesson to you, children of the modern world, who so often fear change, who mistake comfort for happiness and familiarity for love. Sometimes the greatest growth comes from the greatest challenges. Sometimes we must descend into our own underworlds, metaphorical though they may be, to discover who we truly are meant to become. Persephone teaches us that we need not fear our own darkness, that there can be beauty in endings as well as beginnings, that sometimes what seems like an ending is actually a transformation waiting to unfold. And Hades shows us that even the loneliest heart can find its match, that love can bloom in the most unlikely places, that sometimes what we think makes us unlovable is exactly what someone else has been searching for their entire existence. Their love story continues even now, in the turning of seasons, in the eternal dance between growth and rest, between the bright world above and the peaceful kingdom below. Every spring is Persephone's return, every autumn her willing departure. Every seed that sleeps in winter earth is a promise of their reunion. Every flower that blooms is a testament to love that conquered even death itself. So remember, when winter winds howl and the world seems grey and lifeless, that beneath the frozen ground, love itself tends the sleeping seeds, waiting patiently for the moment when life and death, spring and shadow, will dance together once again in their eternal perfect balance. Thus speaks the chronicler of forgotten truths, keeper of stories that shaped the world. In darkness and in light, in endings and beginnings, in the space between heartbeats where eternity lives, love endures, and the dance continues forever.